Hello sewers and welcome. Today I have a tutorial for the newbies out there. Anyone who might be downloading and printing print at home or PDF sewing patterns for the first time. Something like this that you can download straight away from the Sew Simple Bag site or from any other site selling sewing patterns, print it at home and get started sewing straight away. If it's your first time, you might have some questions, and I'm going to run through later all of the settings that you need in order to download and print these successfully. If you haven't already downloaded your pattern, or you've got some questions about that, or maybe you need some troubleshooting tips, then I have an article already on the Sew Simple Bag site all about how to download your digital sewing patterns. I'll leave a link underneath this video, so hop on over if you need some help with downloading. Once you've downloaded the file, the next thing of course you need to do is open it. And I have a recommendation for you. Always use Adobe Reader to open your PDF sewing patterns. There are lots of other PDF apps and software on the market, most of which are free, and some of them might even come already with your computer or your cell phone, but it's always best to use Adobe Reader. Most of the pattern designers out there will be creating their patterns in that software, and therefore if you open it with the exact same software, you're much more likely to get the best results with that. Adobe Reader is free for you to download, so again I will provide a link where you can download that if you are having any problems with downloading and opening your PDF pattern. So I mentioned cell phones earlier, and I would say of all of the people that write to me and they're having trouble either opening a file or printing a file, more often than not it's because they're using a cell phone. Cell phones are great for so many things, but sewing patterns really not so much. If you're trying to read the instructions on this tiny little screen, of course it's too small, and so you're not going to get the best experience from your sewing pattern if you're looking at it on a phone. And in terms of printing, more often than not, if you try to use your phone to print your sewing pattern, you're going to end up with scaling issues. Either the page won't fit on the sheet correctly, or the pattern won't print at the correct scale. So if you have an alternative, I really do recommend that you use a tablet or a laptop computer to open and print your sewing patterns in order to get the best results from that. Some patterns that you might buy, you'll open them up and see to your dismay, oh my goodness, 60 pages, that's going to eat up all of my ink and all of my paper. But before you go ahead, just think about it. You don't actually really need to print all of those pages. You will need to print any of the sheets that look like this. These are your printable pattern pieces, and you will cut these out of your sheets, or you'll assemble multiple sheets and then cut those out, but we'll look at that in a later video. So anything that looks like this you'll need. You may also want to download a materials list, because then you can take that to the shop with you when you're going to buy your fabric and any hardware or zippers that you need for your bag, just to make sure you buy everything and you get them in the right size. You also might want to download any sheet that has any kind of layout. So if you are printing multiple pattern pages that needs to be assembled into a large one, like a jigsaw puzzle, then downloading a layout sheet can help with that too. But you don't need to necessarily print out all of the instructions, because you can use those on your laptop or on your cell phone or on your tablet in order to follow along with those instructions while you're sewing. So from this point, let's switch over to screenshot mode, and I'll take you over to my computer and show you the settings that I think will give you the best success when it comes to printing your PDF sewing patterns to print at home. Let's use the Guernsey zipper pouch as our example pattern. So I've scrolled through the pages and I found that this is the page that I want to print, because this one has the test square that you can see here, both in inches and centimetres. So I only want to print this one rather than just get overexcited and go ahead and print all of the pages so far. So up to the top here, I'm using Adobe Acrobat Pro because I'm on the paid professional version, but Adobe Reader, the free version, should look almost identical. So we go to File and then Print, and up pops our Print dialog or Print settings box. Let's look at the options starting from the top. Here I have the printer selected. Make sure obviously that it does say your printer, because you have other options sometimes to print as documents, but we're going to print to the printer itself. Copies is 1, unless of course for some reason you want to print more than one copy of a pattern. Here we have some ink saving options. You can save ink or toner with this checkbox, and you can also print in grayscale, so that's black and white only, and not print colours by checking this box. Next, let's look at the pages to print. I've already decided that I only want to print this one page here. So if I just want to print one page and I can see it here in the preview window, all I need to do is click Current. If I'm not seeing the page here, then there are arrows underneath the preview and I can scroll through the various different pages. If I move it back to all, I can now scroll through the different pages in my pattern until I find the one that has the test square, click Current, and now the only page I see, page 1, is just the page that I've selected, that current page. Now we come to perhaps the most important boxes on the screen. These are the page sizing and handling, and you always want to ignore these ones. Never click on Fit, never click on Shrink Oversized Pages. You always want to select either actual size or custom scale, but make your custom scale 100%. If you select either Fit or Print Oversized Pages, you could find that your pattern won't print out at exactly the right size. While we're here, we should also check our page setup. If you are in the USA or Canada, most likely you'll be picking for your paper size letter. If you're in the rest of the world, you'll probably click A4 and then OK. Now all we need to do is hit print and one page will come out of your printer. That's this page, the one you see previewed here with your test square. Once you're happy that your test square is the right size, you can now go ahead and print other pages. Let's say you want to print page 1 and page 3, but not page 2. How would we go about it? Go to File and Print, bring up our page options. And this time, instead of current or all, we're going to pick pages. And we're going to do 1, 3. And that will print only pages 1 and pages 3. If we wanted to go on and do page 6 and page 9, for example, we can continue on to put the individual page numbers and separate them by a comma. Now in the preview, only the pages that we have selected will appear in our preview window, and you can scroll through to check that those are the right ones. And then you hit print. Don't forget again to check that you're still on actual size or 100% scale. Now let's say I want to print some pages from my pattern instructions. I'd like to print page 2, which has a materials list, page 3, which has my pattern assembly layout, and page 4, which has a cutting chart. I can print sequential pages easily. File and Print, and I'm going to Pages, and I'm going to do page 2-4, and that will print all pages from 2 to 4 and everything in between. So I'll get 2, 3 and 4. So if you wanted to, for example, print all of the pattern pieces at the end of your instructions that were on pages 12 through to 18, you would just do 12-18 instead of having to list each page between 12 and 18 with a comma in between. Again, check you're on actual size, custom scale 100%, and hit the print button. So that's it, your pattern is printed, you're ready to cut your fabric and start sewing. I hope these tips have been useful. If you've got any more questions or you have any more tips that you might want to share with the readers, then hop on over to the article on Sew Simple Bags and get involved in the chat and the comments there. Thanks for watching and see you here again soon.